Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you for being here. It is
Woohoo!
Friday, the 30th of, I, I have trouble saying it. So
August.
Friday, the 30th of August. The whole summer's over. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
We got a great guy here today. He's been helping people in almost every webinar we've ever had. He works with the chat. He's very supportive of everyone. Everyone loves this guy, and you'll see why if you don't know him. And he also did a audio of a Christmas carol, which blew me away. I let the kids listen to it, so it's pretty cool. But he'll tell you about himself. Uh, Definitely motivated, self-motivated person for sure. All right, I'm going to turn over to Chris because nobody introduces somebody like Chris. Love your brother, Chris. Love your brother, John. Chris, it's all yours.
Good morning, Marty. I love you too. John, I love you in the background there. Before we start, I have to do this because there's three people, special people that I know that's birthdays today. One is the hardest working woman in OnPassive, Tanya OnPassive. Her last name is Tanya Karakachuk. I can't say it, but Tanya, happy birthday. Sherry Dursaway, my crazy live monster, happy birthday to you. And Vittel Smart, happy birthday to you. Some really good people there. So happy birthday. Have a blessed day, guys. Please don't blow them up. You know how that works. Now
Let me
this
say,
next,
I want to say one more thing before you introduce John.
go ahead.
Tanya OnPassive has run OnPassive Nation forever. She's amazing. There's a couple other people that help, and I appreciate it big time. But she's been there. I don't know what I would do without her. And happy birthday, Tanya. And Sherry, she sent a beautiful card to me. Dawn and the family, it came yesterday. She's unbelievable. When I read it, I was like overwhelmed. It really was. The love from people in OnPassive is out over the top. One thing I want to say really, really quick, and I told Chris I was going to, and I almost forgot. Yesterday, Ash Wupara came out, and he gave an update. And for me, one of the biggest updates we ever heard. Okay, one is whatever problems happen, whatever disaster went on, to the smoke and ashes, here comes Ash. Okay, he did come out. He doesn't. He's still with us. He's still running strong. We got to take our hats off to that. I'll tell you what. I've never met anybody like him. Now, what did he say? He said we have recovered 100% of the data and the source code. Listen to me. Inside, I was worried about it. I didn't say anything, but I know the OTech pros were saying the same thing. Boy, I hope he gets all the code. Got it all. Now it's a matter of tick, 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 click, click, boom. Right? Okay, so like he said, it could be between now and 30 days from now. But man, we're heading forward. Why? Because nobody can stop OnPassive except God Himself. And I think God would love OnPassive. Why? Because we love everybody else. It's all yours, Chris.
All righty, let me bring on this crazy cat. His name is John Barilla. He has got more energy than most 20-year-olds I know. I actually tried pulling his batteries out because he's like the ever-ready bunny there. I pulled his batteries out and he keeps going. This man can talk. He's got a very exciting lifestyle and career. He's going to tell us all about it. John has been one of our main, I would say, admins through many groups to control what's going on in the chat rooms. He just keeps going. He did have a pretty bad accident a couple weeks ago. He's all healed. Boy, if I could show you the picture of what he looked like. But John, for some reason, wanted to kiss the cement that day, and he did. But he's back. He's looking good. And John Barilla, the floor is yours, brother.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much, Chris, and Marty as well. And hey, you already mentioned a couple things. I don't have to say much about where we are and Ash Mufara because Marty just laid that out for us, so I don't have to really go there. And I do want to. It's kind of like shine a light on me or whatever. So I'm going to talk about myself basically and OnPassive and what I do in OnPassive. And you guys have mentioned that, and Marty's also mentioned something that I'll talk about, but I'll just have to briefly hit on it because Marty mentioned my Christmas carol because I do as an actor audio work, And that's something that I make a present to everyone in OnPassive every Christmas, and it's where some folks already have it, but it's going to be the same thing this year, and all people have to do is ask me or contact me, maybe a messenger, if I don't know you really well or something, and just ask me for it, and you can have an audio version of A Christmas Carol where I play all of the adult male roles. That's Scrooge and everyone, Marley and everybody. And it's kind of fun because I use different voices and different English accents. So anyway, but I want to say now, what I want to talk about today is, well, I've kind of got a moniker, my own brand, and I kind of got it for OnPassive. I've used it all over the internet, but now I've made it part of what I am in OnPassive, and I call myself the Tin Man, JJB Tin Man, and I have a heart for OnPassive and for humanity. And this has actually become more important to me, more important to me than making money or the products that we have, which is, we can go there. But what I'm going to talk about is my main interest and passion has become my heart for humanity and OnPassive. So before I actually tell about little bit about myself prior to OnPassive and then get into OnPassive, I'm going to do something that I'm also kind of known for. I'm a bit of a songwriter, and I don't want to. I was thinking I'd love to sing "That's What Friends Are For," but we might get in copyright problems. So you know what I did? Just a few minutes ago, I said, make something up. So because I'm talking about the Tin Man, real quick, I'm going to do just a little something for you, and I'm a little hoarse, which I'll explain too in a second. But anyway, hey, here I go. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder just who I am. Sometimes I wonder, am I just a can? Then when I think that right from the start, the wizard told me, yeah. I always had a heart, for OnPassive, oh yeah, for humanity, yeah. 'Cause I am the Tin Man, JJB Tin Man, and I have a heart, and I play the part, 'cause I am the Tin Man, yeah. So that's a little song for you about who I am, what I am, and what I am in OnPassive. Basically, I'm very interested in helping a lot of people. I don't know. In some places, I guess I am a leader in the sense that I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in a lot of messenger groups, WhatsApp groups, and Facebook page groups, and I'm an admin in a lot of those places. I have my own WhatsApp group, OP Friends, that I inherited from Marina Fobbit when she left, and I kind of run that. But basically, let me start from just the beginning of like who I am before I really get into how I kind of found my heart in OnPassive. My name is John Barilla. I am an actor, singer, used to be dancer, but I can move still. I can move pretty well still. I don't know about after my fall down, but at any rate, I'm still doing my best, and I'm a voiceover artist, and I'm also a bit of a photographer. I'm very much into that. So, and now I was born in Steubenville, Ohio, a place that's rather infamous more than famous. It's not a huge town. It's even smaller than it once was because of the demise of the steel industry, which is like, got your eggs in one basket and that thing disappears. Your economy goes down. People leave your town and your population goes from 50,000 down to around, today it's around 18,000 people. But when I was born there back in 1948, it was a bustling steel town. And I enjoyed growing up there. And I had a great family. I have a great family still, at least with my sisters. My mom and dad passed quite a while ago because, I'm kind of getting up there myself. So they're not with us anymore. But I just loved both my parents so much, and they treated me so well. And they taught me how to be the right person. I would say that my father, for example, He was a selfless man. He was a great man. He could do just about anything. He knew about so many things. He was never a wealthy man, but he could do so many things. And even some things that he had talent in that he never really accomplished, well, he instilled all that in me. It's everything that I am, from being a bit of a musician, like I say, an actor. I've dabbled in art, photography, all these things. My father either could do or did a bit of, but never really went all the way with it. And I think he, on purpose, kind of instilled a lot of these kinds of things in me, so that from a young kid, you know, when I'm like about 6, 7 years old, I think it was 6 years old, I took accordion lessons, little Italian kid, and I didn't have much to say about it. You know, I didn't even have the choice of instrument or anything, because my uncle, who helped pay for the lessons and the accordion, he had something to say about it. So I found myself learning how to play the accordion, and that's my first entree into, and my father also had a lot to do with that, of course. And it's my first entree into things like that, to learn music. And then kind of went from there to where, as a little kid, I used to sneak downstairs at night when they had the late movie, when that first came on, Late Show, and I would watch old movies. And a lot of the old movies that I really liked the most had to do with show business and somehow. And I discovered early on that, and you know, of course, it's like the romantic view of what Broadway or what the show business and all that was all about. But that didn't matter. That's what kind of hooked me from the time I was a little guy. So that just that I learned how to play the accordion. I started to learn how to sing. I took voice lessons. I got interested in performing very early on, even before high school. And then through high school, of course, I was the drama guy. I mean, I played sports and such, but, you know, I really was known as someone that was really interested in theater. And I had a great teacher in high school who became like my mentor. And I knew him for the rest of my life, even after high school, Father John Gallia, who was a great dramatic guy himself. And so that just carried right on through, right up into college. I majored in theater arts, focusing on directing and acting. And I got my degree. I had a lot of success there at school. And of course, I was encouraged by a lot of my professors to continue on as a professional, which once I got through, I went to Kent State University in Ohio. And actually, I'll just briefly mention, I'm not going to go into any detail or anything, but I happened to be graduated in 1970, which was a year that there was a very unfortunate historical, actually, incident at Kent State University, of which I played somewhat of a part. There was protest, and it happened to be that, unfortunately, that day, that the National Guardsmen, they actually fired upon the students, and 13 people were wounded, and 4 people died. And I was involved in that as a protester, but basically as a peace marshal. That's what I volunteered to do, as a peace marshal, to try and keep things in order. And well, that didn't work out so well. But anyway, I want to move past that. Anybody wants to know the story, if you're ever having a drink with me someday in a bar or something, I might tell you the whole story, what that was all about. Anyway, some people point to it as the end of the innocent 60s and hippy-dippy times and the politics and all that stuff, actually, historically, actually. So anyway, let's move past that and then get out of college. And I couldn't wait to get to New York City to start to pursue my career as an actor, which I did. And I've been in it for a long time. I've been a professional, and I always consider, you can be a professional, but I consider you're really a professional once you get to the point where you belong to all the unions and you're working in professional projects, obviously, which I took a couple years to get going. Then when I got started, if somebody's been fortunate enough, I'm no celebrity, I'm no star, I'm no big shot. I've never done Broadway, even though I've always tried, and I'm going to keep trying. You never know. That's what people say. You never know. But I've done everything else. I've done off-Broadway. I've done off-Broadway. I've done tours. I've done summer stock. I've done regional. I've done everything else. I've done a little bit of film and TV, not as much as theater, but I have done that. And exactly, I actually use that as one of my survival backup jobs, where I do a lot of stand-in and what they call featured background. And every once in a while, I've been lucky enough to get bumped to where you end up with lines or a significant part of a scene. Those, when you don't get cast from the get-go in a film, which I also have done, or television. But this is like sometimes you're on the set, you're stand-in, they got something that comes up, they need somebody, or you got a featured background thing where maybe you're a bartender or something like that, and all of a sudden you got a couple of lines with the star of the film or TV show, whatever it is. So that's very good for me as like a survival job. And it's one of the only survival jobs I have left, because as of COVID times, a lot of the things that I would do when I wasn't working as an actor would be like jobs that disappeared for me after COVID. And of course, during those times, it's kind of like around the beginning of my OnPassive, where it goes back to before about 2019. So let me start to get into that a little bit. That I realized at some point that I need more income, and I didn't know what to do. But I had a friend, another actor guy, who I'm not going to mention his name because he's actually my sponsor in OnPassive. However, he's not involved with OnPassive, so I don't even want to mention his name because that's what he decided to do. So I'm like a lone shark. I'm like a guy on his own. It's also one of the reasons that I help a lot of people because I don't really have a sponsor, and I decided that I would help a lot of people and kind of be their sponsor, even people within OnPassive that sometimes their sponsor is not so active. So I took that to heart, and sometimes in fact, I have a list of people that I actually do on a regular basis. I communicate with them. I try to help them a lot and teach them things. So anyway, now, what happened was this guy, the one that becomes my sponsor, he's an actor guy. We used to do these readings. Sometimes if you're a playwright and you want to try to get your play done, or producers want to try to get more producers involved, they do these live readings of plays, and they hire actors, and we read these plays. And this guy often got cast by the same agent that I was working with to be in these readings. And at some point, after we got to know each other, because we worked together, he says, "Hey, John," he says, "What are you a waiter?" I said, "What?" He says, "Are you a waiter?" I said, "Well, no, man, I'm an actor like you. What do you mean a waiter?" He says, "Well, most of our friends, they're like waiters, and they never really get going as actors. And they usually give up, or they go home or back to their hometown, or they get into something else, another career, and they move on from there." And he says, "Well, you know what I do?" I says, "What?" He says, "Well, listen, I'm into multi-level marketing, affiliate marketing, working on the internet. Would you be interested for money when you're not working as an actor?" And I went, "Well, I don't know much about that." He said, "Well, listen, can I send you some emails?" I said, "Well, yeah, well, send them to me." Well, listen, I got these emails for 10 years, and I barely looked at them. I'd glance at them. Every time I see the guy, say, "Are you looking at my emails?" I go, "Well, I look at it, but it's really not for me, I don't think," or whatever. So anyway, the time goes by, and I'm thinking, I need to get some money coming in. I don't have as many jobs. I'm not working quite as much as I used to. I was getting older, and that automatically kind of knocks you out of categories, and maybe you're not working as much. I started to get concerned. So anyway, I contacted the guy. I says, "Hey, I've seen some of your stuff. I'd like to get involved, see what's going on." So he got me involved right away, way too much. He threw me into about 20 different businesses. I had to learn what the heck was going on. What do you do? And Marty can talk about this too, because he does. Now, he was lucky enough, I think, he could, he had a little success, and he could get going for himself, but he could not bring people along. Well, the trouble is, I happen to be one of those people that, had trouble getting along, and I was one of the 97 or 98% that wasn't making it. In fact, I was losing thousands of dollars, and oh my God, that's not why I got into it in the first place. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. As I would go through all these businesses and try to figure it all out, there was one of them, one of the first ones he gave me, is stuck in there with everybody else, and I'm clickety-clicking and learning, looking at things, starting to try to figure them out, and guess what? It was OnPassive. And like soon after I was getting involved in all these things and losing money, I realized, well, here's something that, is an MLM. We actually had early on. I got in 2019 where, there was levels. We hadn't even done anything yet, but they're saying, well, there might be levels. I go, well, this is going to be the same thing. But no, that kind of morphed. And, we were told like, that's not what they want to be. They don't want to be an MLM. Don't want to be part of that. Want to do something different. Want to do something new, which is what happened. And then I realized that all I'm spending is like $97 to get involved in something, and they're not going to be charging me fees every time they turn around and try to act like they're starting something new. Anyway, let me move forward. So I got involved, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to really get involved with this thing. However, I realized at some point that, I mean, I liked what Ash Mufareh was all about. I really liked the idea that he was pushing the idea of humanity again. I sort of like that a lot because I've always been kind of a helper in my life. My dad, he taught me how to think of other people first. That's always been part of what I am. So I thought this is good for me, and I can really focus on this. So anyway, but the thing was, I wasn't much better in OnPassive with blessing folks and teaching them or helping them to get in or get them in. And I had nobody under me, never got anybody under me much. So I kind of stopped after a while. And, then I heard Ash Mufareh talking one day about, what, if you're not somebody that has a lot of folks that you're blessing or bringing in to join us, he said, you know what, you can do this just as well. You can do very well if you become engaged, and you'll see what can happen. By being engaged, you'll get involved. There'll be bonuses for people like that, and good things will happen. When I heard that, I said, that's all I got to hear. From that day on, I became very engaged, and seriously, 7 days a week, all the way back to those times. 7 days a week. I've hardly had a day, including when I had my accident and illnesses just even recently. Even when I had carcinoma cancer on my nose not too long ago, I never missed a day of at least doing something in OnPassive every day, 7 days a week for the last 5.5, and now it's over 5.5 years. So I've dedicated myself. So I began to just get involved in everything. And I think already Marty mentioned that I was a guy in the chat. And I just took that upon myself. What am I going to do? Well, I started out by going to all of this. This is before we had the live chats and such too. Well, all the folks like Mike Ellis and Jeffrey Morlock, and I can name about 15 people, including Marty. People would do these videos, and they would talk about OnPassive and what it's all about. And I'm talking fast because I want to get down to the end here at some point. Anyway, so anyhow, I would be in those chats, and I'd be looking for troublemakers, which there were a lot of trolls and situations that still exist true today. And I would do that. Well, all of a sudden one day, Marty is talking in his. This is when the chats got where he could talk, and you could be in the chats like you're listening to the thing or whatever. And he mentions me out of the blue because he was talking about engaged people. I think I might have been, I'm not absolutely sure, but one of his first nuggets or whatever he calls them, diamonds in the rough or something. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know I was right there very early on when he first started talking about it. And he just one day says like, hey, there's this guy. How about this guy, John Barilla? Listen, this guy finds a niche. He found out what to do. He's very busy. He's in the chats. He's kind of protecting OnPassive. He's a policeman. He's like a detective. And I thought, I don't know about policeman, detective. But anyway, I went on from that and actually had a group for a while called the Guardians, which we have disbanded at some point. But we're all, I still kind of, what do I do? Like Marty also mentioned, I'm in a lot of chats. In fact, people, even after we disbanded the Guardians, they would actually ask me and request that I would come and be the monitor of their chats. I'm still doing it now for a lot of groups in a lot of places. And so anyway, though, as I would get involved, then I would start to get involved in a lot of these groups. And it would start to happen to be that then maybe I'd start to do things where you actually become kind of a leader. And all of these folks would start to give me more responsibility. So now I've ended up where in many groups, I am actually either a leader or a host leader or a monitor, or I'm sorry, I'm a monitor in the chat, but what do you call it? So my mind's going blank here. But anyway, where I'm like a helper in a lot of these things to where I am one of the people that run them. Like I say, I've got some of my own groups. And anyway, so let me just look here. I want to mention some of these things. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to mention some of the things that I'm working with actively, and that would be, hold on now, I've got to get past my little notes that I made because I haven't been using them. So anyway, well, for example, one of the things I'm trying to think of, like mentor, that's one of the words. I'm old, and sometimes it takes me a few minutes, plus I had a concussion recently, so you got to forgive me, I get a little cloudy. But anyway, a mentor in a lot of groups, and sometimes I wouldn't even started to be a mentor. People would request it, and they'd make me a mentor, wouldn't even ask me sometimes. I'm up there with sometimes in a few of these groups with Dr. Bill Williams, Jeffrey Morlock, and I'm saying, I'm a mentor? What's that all about? And also now I'm in a group I want to mention because, again, I talked about the Tin Man. Well, Dr. Bill Williams, one day, I'm in a Singapore group. It's called Passion Singapore, Malaysia. I got to be very, very active in there. They actually requested and made me a host leader involved with them. And Dr. Bill Williams is somebody that mentored them and helped them get their group started. One day he just comes on out of the blue and he starts talking about, hey, John, Tin Man. He says, Tin Man. He says, you know what? I love Wizard of Oz. I just love that story. And he says, you know what? You should really push the point of you're the Tin Man because you've played the role. I think you mentioned, and I've played the role a lot of times over the years, not just once or twice. I played with one company in particular on and off for 18 years. So I kind of am the Tin Man, like I say. And he said to me, you ought to promote that for OnPassive. Have your heart. Put that out there. Humanity. I said, you know what? Thank you very much. And he's kind of the one that really got me going to brand myself as the Tin Man, JJB Tin Man. I have a heart for humanity. And then I began to focus more and more on that. Didn't worry so much about always promoting or talking about the products or what we have or what we're going to have. And I really started to get involved with a lot of the groups. Like Passion Singapore, their main objective is to do the humanitarian things. And I'm in other groups like that. The Singapore group, I told you, it was called Passion Singapore. Then I'm in another one. And this is like one of the ones that Chris would know about too, because when we did the Oh Bless back when you had that particular webinar, Chris, we would do the Oh Bless, and who would we see? We'd see a whole lot of people that were from a lot of different movements or ideas or things that they'd already been involved with it for humanity or to help people out. And we would see who these people are and we would get introduced to them. Well, I remembered a lot of them and I also got interested in a lot of them. So I started to follow them when they would do their own chats or YouTube channel talks and all that kind of stuff. And then there was a lady, Yvonne Mundi, and Yvonne had something that she called One Global Movement. So I actually was like her chat monitor. At first, I was just doing it on my own, like I do for a lot of people, as you've heard, which I do. I still do. Well, anyway, one day, out of the blue, she's up in her talking in her YouTube, and I'm down in the chat looking for things going on, keeping it organized and looking for troublemakers or anything like that, you know. And all of a sudden, she's talking about John Barilla. And she said, yes, I love John Barilla. He's my Uncle John. I'm like, what? And I was like, Uncle John, what's that? And it turns out that she has like an Uncle John. And she's born in Africa, actually, Cameroon, I believe. And she had a very unusual situation. Their culture there is not the best thing in the sense of the way they treat women in general, but even young girls. And she was slated to be like married off to someone at 10 years old. And her grandmother and mother rescued her in a sense. And they left that Africa and they actually came to the United States. And then she grew up and she got to be educated and she's become who she is. And she has this movement way before OnPassive, One Global Movement. Now she's in OnPassive and she's using her One Global Movement. We're already started, by the way. I mean, we have every day, Monday through Friday. We have not a webinar. We had some O-Connect. We had O-Connect, but she's on there every day. And there's some ladies on the panel. I want to mention Yvonne Mundi, of course, and Yvonne Finn and Esther. I'm not going to try to say your last name. I'm not even going to try it. Oh, by the way, Chris, it's Krajanovic. I help everybody. It's Tanya Krajanovic. Anyway, I'm the managing director. After she kind of tagged me as her Uncle John in the chats, then we personally talked, and she said, I want you to be the managing director of One Global Movement, which I am. That's another kind of lead position that I have. I mean, I'm in a lot of places. Let me just keep looking. I'm going to mention these before I stop now and tell you while I'm talking about myself. Oh my goodness, Julie and Milo, the Julie and Milo show. This is where I first exposed myself to people as an entertainer or performer. I didn't really do this at first. I kept things quiet. And all of a sudden they had a Christmas karaoke. And I went there and I was sitting there and listening and people are telling stories about Christmas and singing Christmas carols. And I go, well, you know, I don't want to sing necessarily because, you know, I want to hear all the people. And there were people that were good. They weren't so good, but it didn't matter because they were singing from their heart. It was wonderful. And then all of a sudden Julie says, oh, hey, I see John Barilla. They didn't even know me very well yet. And they said, well, would you like to, you haven't done anything. Would you like to sing something for us? They don't even know I'm a singer, you know, or whatever. So I went, oh, and I bashfuled out. I mean, it was like, I was like, well, let me tell you a story. And I told them a little Christmas story about what my dad used to do at Christmas time every year, where he would get the neighbor to dress up like Santa Claus because I wouldn't go to bed on Christmas Eve. And he'd have the guy run across our front lawn and go, John, look out the window. You got to go to bed. Santa Claus is getting ready to come in. And I would go to bed. So I told that story. Everybody said, oh, that's nice. Well, then the next day, I said, I made the mistake of saying, well, I actually am a professional singer, and I'm in the theater, and well, I hope I don't have to wait till next year to sing for you. Well, you know what Julie did? She called for another Christmas karaoke. Like the next night, they had another webinar. They had another Christmas karaoke, and I kind of got put on the spot because she said definitely. She called on me to sing, and then I think I sang something like "I'll Be Home for Christmas" or something like that, which went over very well. And then that made a nice reaction. People started to communicate with me, actually contact me and such. And then they decided, Milo and Julie, let's have an interview. It's one of the only interviews I've ever done. And anyway, I did this interview, and then that even put me out there where people began to know me more. I started to get requested to actually look at their chats all the time. I got more and more active. I was in more and more groups as I went along. Let's see. I just want to mention a couple more. Of course, I want to mention Roblin Live, for example. I got involved with working very closely with them because I am a bit in film and television, stuff like that. They were doing every day a show for 668 shows every night for 668 nights consecutively. And I happened to be there for all but 666 of those shows. Helped them a lot, worked with them. Want to give both of them a shout out to thank them very much because I was always wanting, and I'll get to the end real soon here now, but I always wanted to be a singer in OnPassive. The thing is, I can be a leader, I can be a mentor, I can be a managing director and all that, and that's great. But like I say, I wanted to get people, I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to start to be known more as somebody who that's kind of what he does really besides talking about tools and platforms and all that. He's really interested in getting our minds off of that sometimes and relax and enjoy yourself. And that's what Roblin Live provided for me because I was trying to sing in all kinds of places. One time, I actually sang in one of the big things that we had, whether it was for the Burj Khalifa or one of those events. I was lucky enough to be asked to be on the panel to make comments afterwards. And instead of speaking or saying something, I said, hey, I'm not much of a speaker, but I can sing. And I actually sang, what did I sing? I think on a clear day for the Burj Khalifa, you can see forever from the top of the Burj Khalifa or whatever. And I think Red that day was sitting in as the MC because Marty was having trouble connecting up with the broadcast to all these places in India. So Red steps in and he calls on me like as one of the first people. And I'm like, oh, geez, well, I don't talk much, but I sang that song. And Red comes on afterwards and he says, oh, well, that was good. I hope we don't run into copyright problems. And I went, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. So I always had a trouble finding places that I could sing and OnPassive without getting into trouble. And that's what Roblin Live provided for me because they figured out we'll just turn off the thing, the video or whatever, we'll stop it or we'll edit it so that you can sing here for everybody that's coming and we don't have to worry about whether it goes out there on YouTube and such. So then I got to be, and I had my own segment. I got to be the resident baritone. I consider myself today kind of the resident baritone of OnPassive, and I sing as much as I can in whatever places that I can sing. And like I say, sometimes I write my own songs. I wrote the theme song for Roblin Live. I wrote the little thing that I sang for you folks here. I just did that in 5 minutes before the show here. Let me look at a few more places that I want to mention. Let's see. I told you about Singapore. One Global Movement. Milo, because I want to keep this with talking about, I could talk about a lot of groups and I don't want to take up any more time, but I do not want to forget Milo. After it became Milo's thing singularly, he and Julie went their separate ways and were each doing their thing, and they're still doing it today. But Milo, he started a thing, and many of you folks, you may not know about this yet. And I'm just going to end in a moment, but I want to talk about that. And I want to say one more thing about One Global Movement. We are around every day. You can all find us on YouTube. And it's something that when we move forward, you folks are going to want to know about some of these things that you can get involved with as movements. This is beyond whatever we're doing it OnPassive. And I'm telling you, we'd love to have people to come and check us out and get involved later on. But let me now tell you, Milo, he starts a thing, and not many of you know it because we haven't said much about it yet. It's called Global World Changers. Milo comes up with this idea to create affiliate accounts that not only founders can get, but also the general public could get. And the thing about these he has 50 categories that he's created. And a lot of the things that I talked about, Chris's Oh Bless webinars, where we heard about all these things, everything from blue tarp what is it? Thing for clean water. I think I wrote down what they're called. Hold on. Here it comes. Thank a Vet, mental health, cancer, Blue Tarp Project, Amy Reideke, if that's how she says her name, World Water Solutions, and they go on and on. He's got 50 different categories, and I have some of these affiliate accounts. Now, some of us he contacted. I'm working with Milo. It's another thing that I'm involved in very actively, is that with Milo's Global World Changers, we're going to start to do either webinars, or he's going to be broadcasting. He says he's going to do 2 a day. I'm like, oh, I hope not. I don't know about that. But at any rate, and we're going to be letting folks know, especially when we move forward, because people will be able to get an affiliate account. And those affiliate accounts, what's going to happen? Well, if you pick one for one of these specific things, like I just mentioned, I actually have an account in every one of those that I just mentioned already. And when they go active, when we really get going, I don't even have to worry about, do I want to donate? How much do I want to donate? Because by having that affiliate account, the money automatically goes to whatever the account is. For example, my One Global Movement, automatically, I have an affiliate account. It's going to automatically make money for that movement, for that thing to help humanity. So that, again, this shows you how this is what I'm involved with. This is what I really believe in with OnPassive. It's my biggest interest in being a part of OnPassive. So I'm going to point all that out. And Milo is going to be coming with more information. You'll be hearing about it. You'll be hearing about more from One Global Movement. I can't talk more about it now because we want to finish. So let me see if there's anything else. Oh, I've also worked for a long time with the Heroes. And even before it was called the Heroes, for years, I've been their chat monitor. I wanted to mention them, Peter Rogers and all those folks, and Comfort Confor, and now the OTech Pro guys, they're all part of that, working with them. And also there's a group I'm a mentor for called the Barat International Group. Oh, it goes on and on and on. And I'm just going to just say, okay, hold it, John, hold it. That's not going on any further. I could keep going. That's the problem. I knew I was going to run into this problem. But I want to end it and say thank you guys for letting me come on and talk about myself and what I love about OnPassive and what I'm most interested in. And let me just shut up now and go back to you guys.
John, who you said in there, I don't talk much. I think you just proved yourself wrong. What?
Wait. Here's the thing. Marty said to me once in a menu when we were in when O Connect, and I was in there one night, and I don't play games much, and in there I was telling him why. I was telling Marty and a couple people that were hanging out afterwards, why I really don't play games much, and I was going on about it, and Marty says, "Yeah, John." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Could I ask you a question?" I said, "Well, sure. What is it, Marty?" He said, "Do you ever take a breath?" So I said, well, I'm a professional actor and I can go for a long time without breathing. Here's the thing. I don't talk that much in most instances, but I get something like this. And again, I just wanted to, and I didn't even hit everything. So I'm sorry, but yeah, when I get a chance, sometimes I do go on a little bit too much, but that's why, go ahead.
John, you did fantastic. I'll tell you what, you covered a lot. For as much as you covered, it should have took 4 hours. So you did it really quick. So,
and you didn't mumble or miss a beat?
No, nothing. You didn't even skip a beat. I was like, I could not talk that fast. And you're real clear. So it was very good. Very good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, I like the fact that you shined the light, not on yourself, but on just a lot of people. I thought that was pretty cool. Bringing out.
You talked about you a little, and then you started shining the light on everybody else. But that is OnPassive. You're right, John. You're the poster child for OnPassive.
I think you are OnPassive-licious, John. That's what I think.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. That's see that now? I was going to wait real quick. I was going to say, in Rob was fascinated with all these phrases and stuff, and he was once saying, "I'm going to put them in a book and all this stuff." So I came up with a couple of my own, and the one that I thought that stuck was, OnPassive is delicious. In fact, OnPassive is OnPassive-licious, and it's kind of stuck with me. I forgot all about that, but you know what? That's not my favorite. My favorite is the simplest one, Oliver Fonte's "We Are Fine," and that's one I always say and always use. And here, see, I forgot a lot of stuff, Chris. Thanks, Ali, for bringing that up.
No, you covered like the entire world in like 35 minutes. I like the fact that you were born in 1948. Obviously, we know your age now, but it don't look it. I would say you look like you're in your mid 50s. And
Oh,
like I said, I told people you can't take the batteries out of this guy. He keeps going and going. And
I
I
can
love your
imagine
passion.
you in your 50s, John. My
Yeah,
God.
I love your passion, John. I really do.
well,
You
you know,
did a great job.
my recent accident and illness, what a thing that was. It came out of, I mean, I've had some other little instances in the last couple of years, but this was so bizarre because I thought I had the flu. And when I went outside in a 98, 105 heat index to get some flu medicine, I didn't make it. I got about a half a block from my house here. I'm on the curb and I went, wow, I feel kind of dizzy. Next thing I know, I pass out. I hit the concrete. I end up, you know, in the emergency ward at Bellevue Hospital. I'm there for 10.5 hours. And they tell me, well, you don't have the flu. You got COVID. You got a concussion. You got bruised toes. You got bruised fingers. You got a sprained wrist. You got cuts and gashes all over your face that the doctor's going to suture up. And oh my goodness! And guess what? Even that day, I did stuff on OnPassive. You know, so
I
yeah,
seen the picture. I seen the picture after he fell.
Yeah,
it was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and again, I actually have a little bit of what they call lingering symptoms. I don't have the COVID anymore. You can hear I'm a little bit hoarse because there's like this thing. I got some congestion. That's lingering. One of the symptoms from the COVID, and also the fact that I had the concussion. That's not with COVID, but at any rate, you know, that is keeping me. You're thinking I'm like so fast, and I'm doing this because I know I have to have the high energy. I'm trying to say as much as I wanted to say, but again, that was one of the things that, my goodness, all those things happening, and now here I am, like a month later or a little more, and I've recovered pretty well considering, just with a couple things, a little bit that's hanging on.
I was surprised you didn't have a bunch of scars. Yeah, you look good. You wouldn't even know.
Well, you know, if you look closer, you could see them. I'm not going to go here, look at this, but anyway, yeah. And I think they will eventually. I probably won't see them at all, but they're there for now, and they could have been worse. It could have been much worse, believe me. Oh my, yeah.
Landed on that rock. You could have landed.
Well, hey, say goodbye to everybody.
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, I hope I didn't blow off too much steam, folks.
You were exciting and fun, John. I love it.
He was John Barilla. That's all I want to tell you. He's exactly who he is. That was beautiful. I loved it. All right, see you guys.
Bye,
All
John.
right, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.